What's up guys, welcome back to Deck Tech for Decks. I'm your host Caleb. If you guys want to support the channel, you can click on that whatnot link in the description down below. You'll get a free $15 whenever you sign up and you'll be supporting the channel. Additionally, you can become a patron. Not only is that the best way to support the channel, but you'll get to vote on deck techs for me to cover on the channel. Special shout out to my high contributing patrons. Newsom, you rock. First of all, I'd just like to thank you guys. We did get that Precon upgrade to 500 likes. So as promised, here is the full non-budget Omo deck tech. Now, we're going to keep the strategy vastly the same. We're running a lot of lord effects. We're running a lot of creatures that care about having a lot of the creatures types. We have Hackball, Ground Knock. These are going to be very useful cards that you really can't jam into other strategies, but they kind of fit perfectly in this deck, especially Ground Knock. Now, every time a creature with an everything counter on it, you essentially draw 3 cards. That's an insane rate. And then we can kind of shoehorn a Maze's End approach to this deck as well. So it's going to put a solid timer on the deck. And hey, if people don't get there with creature damage, they're just going to lose to our Maze's End strategy. Now, what makes the Maze's End strategy more viable in this deck is we are running a blink package. That way we can trigger our commander more often. We have roaming throne effects. Remember, as long as everything is everything, roaming throne triggers on literally everything. So we're going to double up on our commander triggers, all of our lord triggers, all the Grolnok good stuff, and we're just going to explode with value. And then again, if we don't get there with our lord effects, we're just going to get there with our lands. Another thing I'm going to add to this strategy, the non-budget version, is clone cards and cards that create token copies of our creatures. If we can start creating clones and token copies of our best lords, it's just going to make our board massive, especially when we're adding stuff to this deck like Master of the Waves. Now we can get a massive board of elementals that are buffed a ton, and then it's just also going to synergize with our blink strategy. Notably, the blink strategy, you do need 2 Master of Waves because it gives +1/+1, and those elementals are 1/0s, so they'll die if you just blink Master of the Waves. But if we have multiple of them on the battlefield, this can start getting pretty insane. Then we're running our messed up stuff like Vedallion Hexmage to just counter everything. And yeah, it's just going to be a solid deck that ramps hard because we're running all of your Gate effects, the lands here, forget their name, the Urza lands, because everything's everything, and we're just going to explode with value. So if that sounds like a deck tech you want to get into, let's get into it. And hey guys, before we do, I just want to say, leave in the comments down below the commanders you want me to build from this set. There's a ton of powerful ones. I'm really excited about a lot of them, but your suggestions really help me out. So don't forget to leave a comment down below what commanders you really need me to build. Now let's get into it. Hackball and Grolnok are honestly some of the most powerful cards in this deck. Grolnok's ability to essentially draw us 3 cards whenever one of those everything counter creatures attacks is kind of insane, and then Hackball just provides a ton of ramp and card advantage at the same time while exploring a ton and getting us to our key pieces. Timber Protector and Lord of the Unreal are going to be very good cards to protect our strategy. Now our most important cards are either suited up with Indestructible or Hexproof. Vedallion Hexmage is very powerful as well, especially when we have Deeproot Pilgrimage on the battlefield. This will generate a ton of merfolk and we can kind of just counter anything that we don't want to resolve. Herald of Hoofbeats and Gale Rider Sliver are just going to make our creatures incredibly hard to block. The Indomitable is some solid card advantage. Then we have Sashiro. This is very good because not only does it fit in with the Anthem strategy, but additionally it's going to make it to where we're drawing cards whenever our snake creatures deal combat damage. Malcolm is solid here as well. Now we're generating treasure tokens whenever they deal combat damage. Elvish Archdruid, Priest of Titania, Herabraz Druid, just very good cards that just add mana equal to the amount of that creature type on the battlefield. So very powerful stuff here. Spawning Kraken's very good. Now whenever one of our everything counter creatures deals combat damage to a player, we get a 9/9 Kraken creature. That's going to be pretty busted. Bio-Waste Blob is one of our best Anthem effects. Our board is just going to keep getting bigger and bigger at an exponential rate. Master of the Waves, again, this is just a very solid ETB that's also a very solid Lord effect. And then as long as we have 2 of these on the battlefield and start blinking one of them, that does create an unstoppable board state very quickly. Avenger of Zendikar, kind of the same thing. I know he's not really a lord, but if you think about it, we are trying to put additional lands into play, and all of our everything creatures are plants as well, so he does start putting 1/1 counters on them. And then additionally, with the blink strategy, blinking an Avenger of Zendikar is just very powerful stuff. especially when we have Essex Fractal Bloom in the deck. Exodus is absolutely insane with Avenger of Zendikar or Master of the Waves because they enter the battlefield, they create all of those tokens, and all of those tokens are going to enter as a token copy of themselves. Yes, that is not going to be okay at all. Turning 7 plants into 7 Avenger of Zendikars is just going to win you the game. Master of the Wild Hunt is pretty cool tech here. Now we can tap our everything creatures to start removing our opponent's board states, and he's just going to add to our board state because he does give us a wolf every upkeep, which that's something this deck needs. You need to constantly be creating creatures, that way you constantly have something to put these everything counters on. Whelming Wave and Cyclone Summoner are one-sided board wipes that are absolutely going to blow out our opponents. We're also running Maskwood Nexus because it's just a better version of what our commander's doing, so why wouldn't we run it in the deck? We're also running Roaming Throne here. Not only is this very solid to double up on our commander's ability, but since everything is everything, right, it's going to double up on anything that triggers with an everything counter on it. So your things like Avenger of Zendikar, Bio-Waste Blob, Hackball, even Groundhog go super hard here. The next thing we're adding to the deck is ways to create token copies of our Lord effects, because that just sounds kind of busted to me. Bramble Sovereign's really good here. We do have a blink strategy in the deck, so once we get something like a Master of Waves on the battlefield, we can blink it and then copy it with Bramble Sovereign, and it just starts creating this incredibly hard to stop snowballing effect. Quasi-Duplicate, Croaking Counterpart, and Splitting Image are very good in this deck because we can cast them multiple times in this game. That's just going to add a lot of flexibility to this deck. Rally the Galadrim does have Conspire, so we can get 2 token copies of something. Rite of Replication can give us up to 5 token copies of something. That's going to be kind of insane. Irenicus's Vile Duplication and Quantum Misalignment are also going to be very good in this deck because they can copy our legendary creatures. So even copying something like our commander here to get double everything counters is pretty solid, but looking at stuff like Hackball, that's really where you want to be with these cards. Another crucial part to this strategy is getting the right lands into play, whether it be our Urza lands, our Locust lands, or even our gates. So we really need ways to just tutor up any land and put it onto the battlefield. Elvish Reclaimer is perfect for this. You just sacrifice a land to get any land you want, maybe it's an Urza's Tower, and throw it right onto the battlefield. Expedition Map does the same thing. Nylea's Intervention is super busted here because it searches up multiple of our broken lands. Hour of Promise grabs 2 of them, throws them right onto the battlefield, and then we're running ways to play additional lands, like Azusa's Lost But Seeking and Dryad of Elusian Grove. Then we want to benefit off of playing our lands with stuff like Tatiova and AZ Tyrant of Gyre. Again, AZ does also allow us to play additional lands. Archdruid's Charm is very flexible here. It's creature tutor, it's a land tutor, it's removal, kind of does everything you want it to do. We're also going to run the new Nadu. Not only does this get all of our lands into play very quickly, additionally we do have to target our creatures to put that everything counter on them. So we have a solid way to target a creature every single turn, so Nadu's just kind of going to be busted here. We also did shove Lightning Greaves in the deck, so if these 2 do get on the battlefield, you can just kind of run away with the game out of nowhere, so that's something to look out for. Deadeye Navigator, Thassa's Deep Dwelling, Sword of Hearth and Home, just some solid blink effects that are going to blink our most powerful creatures or even our commander for even more everything counters. Aven Courier does this without having to blink our creatures. Now we just get another everything counter to put on whatever we want. Eternal Witness, just to abuse some of the blinking strategy in the deck. Bane of Progress, really good here, solid removal. Heroic Intervention and Ripple of Potential are just going to be solid protection pieces. This deck does commit a ton to the board, so we really need these protection pieces. That way we're not blown out of nowhere. That's going to do it for today's video, guys. Don't forget to comment down below the commanders you need me to build from Modern Horizons 3. With that being said, I would like to shout out my patrons, Newsome, Excessum, Chicken Salad, and Praetor. You guys are amazing. I hope this helped you guys in your deck building endeavors, and I will see you guys in the next one.